Let's get into a story right now, or one of our discussions right now. 11 commercial banks in Nigeria will not be permitted to trade in the new created small and medium enterprises foreign exchange window.
Yes, the Central Bank of Nigeria is accusing the affected banks of blocking customers' access to Forex. Now, this action comes following complaints by customers that some banks have deliberately frustrated their efforts to access the SMEs' Forex. An acting director of corporate communications, CBN, Isaac Okorafor, said the offending banks would be sanctioned.
Now, the Apex Bank now retains 8 banks in the SME wholesale Forex window. Joining us now on phone is a financial analyst, Nemeka Obiari. Nemeka, it's good to have you join us right now.
Mike, good morning.
Nice to hear from you. Now, this is not the first time banks are banned one way or the other, but in this regard now, concerning SMEs, give us an overview. How grievous is this offense?
Mike, I'm so glad, I am so excited that the CBN have decided to wield the big stick. You know, look at the economy of Nigeria. SMEs contribute almost 50% of our GDP, activities around the SME window. And for Central Bank of Nigeria to provide a window of opportunity for them to access dollar, and then some people decided to play a game in the system. I think wielding the big stick is very, very key. You know, I'm one of those who have always advocated for improvement in the supervisory and the consumer protection department architecture of at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Because look at it this way. The work of the main responsibility of Central Bank of Nigeria is to ensure monetary sector stability, is to ensure financial stability, is to ensure that those SMEs have access to those windows of opportunity for them to have credit, for them to have the effects that they require to be able to create employment, to be able to enhance production. Over the last 20 months, we've lost over 4 million jobs because of the issues surrounding the foreign exchange market stability in Nigeria. Most SMEs went under because they could not access foreign exchange to buy raw materials. They could not access foreign exchange to buy equipment and spare parts to be able to ramp up operation. Many people were laid off. Many employees were laid off. Now the Central Bank of Nigeria, over the last 2 months, seems to have gotten their act together. And one of the problems we have in this system, and which we must emphasize at every point in time, is that the Central Bank of Nigeria must, as a matter of responsibility, ramp up its supervisory oversight over the commercial banks, over the deposit money banks. I can tell you this. The major problem we have in Nigeria is that particular sector. One of the major problems, I'm trying to say it, most of what we are doing is what we call rent seeking. If the banks are living up to their responsibilities, if the banks are playing their key role as financial intermediaries, bringing the surplus economic units and deficit economic units together, Nigerian economy will have at least gained some tractions. But what do we see? Is the reverse is the case. So I think the big stick wielded by the Central Bank of Nigeria is the step in right direction. It's not only in the SME window. The Central Bank of Nigeria must come up with more robust and scientific way of ensuring that these banks are kept on their toes. These banks are expected to do their jobs. Why do we come in an economy that is
okay, Obiari, let me bump in here. You seem to be on the same page with respected economist Henry Boyo, who said some time ago that the banks are really at the bottom or at the root of Nigeria's economic problems. I wonder if you would want to say that too. Now, the big banks are actually the ones involved in this shady deals, not allowing SMEs to get Forex. Is there a need for the CBN to look even deeper at some of their activities? Because many of these banks declare all kinds of huge profits at the end of the year.
Because I can tell you this. If we fix the Nigeria Civil Service, fix the Nigeria Customer Service Department, fix the FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Service, fix the Nigerian banking industry, I tell you, this Nigerian economy will grow at a rate and at a pace we would have never imagined. I will tell you this. The Central Bank of Nigeria, as the apex bank that regulates the deposit money banks, must up their game. I continue to say it. They must up their game. Check it. In an economy that is suffering contraction, in an economy that lost over that contracted by about 4.5%. Now let me tell you, if you look at the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, they will tell you that our economy contracted by minus 1.6 over the last 1 year. It's not true. It's actually 4.5. Remember that while our economy contracted by minus 1.6, our population grew by between 2.5 to 2.8%. By the time you factor it in, you will discover that our economy truly contracted by over minus 4.5%. Yet in the same economy, where the manufacturing sector, where the SMEs, where the productive sector are declaring losses, in an economy where everything is going south, these banks are declaring hundreds of billions of naira in profit. Does that not show you certain things?
All right, you know what, let's put you on hold. We'll take a short break now. Of course, when we come back, we will continue our discussion. Nnaemeka Obiari is a financial analyst speaking with us via phone there. Stay with us.
All right, thanks for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. You're still watching this, and we are analyzing the issues in the economy right now. Central Bank of Nigeria has banned some of the banks in Nigeria from carrying out SME, giving them foreign exchange. And
yes,
about
indeed.
8 banks retained in that, or they were not banned
involved.
In that regard,
yes,
in
indeed. Some $300 million, of course, was made available to the banks to give to the SMEs in terms of availability, of course.
Yeah.
But some of these banks have been flouting that, and of course, the CBN has come down hard. But is it hard enough?
That's
sanctions
one
hard
question.
Enough?
We have financial analyst Nnaemeka Obiari with us, and he's on Skype right now. Now, Nnaemeka, let me ask you this: about 8 banks are said to have good records on the list of on the table of CBN. But if we have to maintain, if the CBN has to maintain working with them since the others have been banned, wouldn't there be much pressure on those 8 banks if they have to be the only ones giving out Forex to SMEs?
Mike, see, I think one of by banning these other banks and allowing these 8, yes, I agree with you, there is going to be pressures. But the central bank also must devise ways of hitting them harder. You know, I don't even subscribe to the issue of suspending them. If I am to be in the supervisory department of central bank or be part of the teams, you know, the management of central bank of Nigeria, just like the Federal Reserve Bank in the US, we will be penalizing them by way of hitting them hard with financial penalties. For example, where they flaunted, where they played manipulative games concerning about maybe say $100 million, you hit them with equivalent on their shareholders fund. I think that way they will feel the impact more. Banning them, like you rightly pointed out, will put pressure in the market because these are the big banks. 60 to 70% of banking activities in Nigeria pass through these banks. Some of the top players in this market bank with those banks. I think apart from banning them, the central bank must devise other punitive ways, just like the Federal Reserve Bank of America. Hit them hard, you know, penalize them by taking out monies from their shareholders fund. If, for example, the infraction involves about $10 million, hit them with $10 million equivalent as penalty. This way they will all sit up. I can tell you this, I am very, very excited that the Central Bank of Nigeria have decided to back. Enough is enough. If we must rebuild this economy, every hand must be on deck. It's not only on the SME windows. In every other area that the Central Bank of Nigeria has intervened, from the manufacturing sector to the oil and gas sector, even to the BTS and PTAs, you will still see these bankers playing games. Enough is enough. You see, bankers and banking is supposed to be a profession that engenders trust, engenders integrity, engenders honesty. Once trust is lost, everything is lost. And that is why everybody in that industry must be very, very careful. If there is any sector of the economy where trust must be sacrosanct, where trust must be upheld as the religion, as the holy grail, it is the banking industry.
Okay, and so now, Nnaemeka, if you'd allow me, I wonder what impact this defaulting banks not making Forex available to SMEs, what impact this could likely have on the interbank Forex market and, of course, the economy as a whole.
That is why I said it. Banning them and taking them out of the system may not be the right approach, because one is going to, you know that the system is like an ecosystem. What affects one affects. That is why you see central bank at times they try to intervene. They try to show up some of the things. Like for example, when we had issues in 2009, the central bank, as much as possible, try to provide stimulus, try to provide liquidity for some of these financial institutions, so as not to allow them to go under, because if any of these big banks go under, it will affect this, it will have a ripple effect. I think going forward, it's not just enough. Central banks should not just ban them. Central banks should find a way of always hitting them with financial penalties. If they carry out infractions, hit them. If it is $10 million, take $10 million equivalent from them. And I tell you this, when the Central Bank of Nigeria does this kind of thing, the shareholders of this bank will be compelled to step in to begin to ask questions.
All right, going forward, how long do you think this ban is going to last?
If you ask me, I don't. Like I told you, it's like I'm trying to explain. The central bank should look at this issue of banning them. I think they should allow them to come back, then hit them with financial penalties. Hit them with deduct monies from their reserves at the Central Bank of Nigeria. That should be the best approach. Banning them is not enough. Because it's going to affect the system, it's going to impact on the ecosystem, it's going to create a lot of ugly ripples in the system. Bring them back, then hit them, slam them with financial penalties.
Of course, the CBN is saying the sanctions will be lifted once the affected banks show evidence that they've used, some of these funds allocated to them for the SMEs. And I'm wondering, is the CBN too soft on these banks? Yes, of course, you've stated that, look, it's the CBN is not really hard enough. But is it not a failure on the part of the CBN, that's the supervisory agency, to ensure that the loopholes that these banks could use in the first place are plugged?
Ngozi,
yes.
The last time I was on set with you guys, I stated the same thing. I said the Central Bank of Nigeria, as a matter of urgency and responsibility, must enhance activities in their supervisory department, directorates, and the consumer protection department. I said that they are grossly understaffed. I said it here that they must up their games. They must go out there to recruit very professional, very knowledgeable experts. In fact, if I am to suggest, they should triple personnel in those two key departments, because a lot of things are going wrong in the banking industry. If the Central Bank of Nigeria can get it right in the supervisory window, if they can get it right in the areas of consumer protection directorate, I think it will go a long way. Like you said, it's an indictment on them. Over time, these banks have been at distance. Let me tell you, the banking industry requires online, on spot, at every second supervision. The central bank, if the central bank should up their games and ensure that these key directorates are well staffed and the personnel, and I can tell you this kind of ugliness will not happen.
All right, Nnameka Biariri, thank you for talking to us this morning. Have a great day.
You're welcome, Mike.
Right. Thank you.
All right, thanks for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. Let's get into our second discussion right now. Nigerians are asking the federal government to implement some of the recommendations of the 2014 National Conference to enable the country practice true federalism.
Now, they say restructuring Nigeria is imperative at this time when the demand for justice and equity in governance is being re-echoed. But we're now joined, like I told you earlier, by Yinka Odumaki of the Afenifere and a former delegate to the 2014 confab. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Good morning.
Nice to have you on.
The issue of the 2014 confab refuses to go out of the table. We're now talking about it again. What exactly is it you think the fears of this government is? That it doesn't even want to broach the idea of, taking a look at some of the recommendations that you guys came up with?
Well, I think at this point, the only thing we can say that stands between the implementation of 2014 National Conference reports and Nigerian people is the fear of some people thinking that they will lose control. Those who still want command and control from Abuja. Because if you look at those recommendations of that conference, there are recommendations that have put this country on a sound footing. Today, Nigeria is in recession. Governments across the country cannot pay salaries. I said this at the 2014 National Conference, that if the price of oil should crash, only Lagos and maybe one of the states can afford to pay salaries. Here we are today. In that conference, we recommended that every year, let us set aside 5% of our budget to prospect solid minerals across Nigeria. And we look at the resource map of Nigeria. There is no state in Nigeria where you don't have solid minerals. This will make us richer, better, and better governed than this oil business. But what are we doing today? We are voting billions to go and search for oil that does not exist in the north. Whereas the bitumens, the resources, all kind of
mineral resources,
iron, gold, that exist in abundance. If you tap them, every section of this country will benefit, and we are benefiting from oil at the moment. But those who think that the only way to maintain control is to take oil receipts, hold the money. Every governor, every month, the governor goes to Abuja, their commission, they go and kneel down, collect their check, they come back, it's not enough, they go back, beg for bailouts, okay, and then the presidency. Interestingly, the federal government of Nigeria today, the only territory that belongs to it is the FCT Abuja. FCT does not bring 1 naira into the federal account, but it sits on these resources and now begin to dole it out, and now retain 52% of this money. So when you now say you are finding dollars, you are doing this, you are doing that, the corruption is going on and the rest, that's the source of the corruption now. You put 52% of the resources in Abuja, you put all kind of responsibility you cannot perform. You say there's a works minister in Abuja who's in charge of federal roads all over Nigeria. The minister doesn't know where most of these roads are. So year in, year out, the officials sit down, they compile the same roads, put more money on it, and say, oh, we are doing road this year. That road was budgeted last year, budgeted this year. For the 4 years a minister will stay in office, he cannot get to a quarter of the roads. He doesn't know where they are. So that's why I say that. Let us restructure this country. And Obafemi Awolowo warned us in 1967 in his book, Thoughts on Nigerian Constitution, that any attempts to do what we are doing now, to run Nigeria on a unity line, will be productive of disharmony, discontent, fighting among the people, and that the administrative machinery of government will grant you a halt, except to get superhuman beings to run the affairs of Nigeria.
Superhuman beings. I wonder where that will certainly come from.
Yes, indeed. Of course, Yinka Odumakin is our guest right here in the studio. Of course, we've established the fact that you were part of this 2014 confab. Quite a number of issues that some of the resource persons talked about there. Restructuring, the mode and all of that is the issue. The question is no longer whether we will restructure or not.
No.
Talk to us about that.
There's a consensus already. Even yesterday at the launch of General Daniel's book in Lagos, the governor of Osun State, Boyne Arabeshola, the governor of Ondo State, Arakuni Rotimi Akeredolu, and even Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, represented by Tunde Rahman, were all clear on the need that we have to restructure this country. Now the mode. Just 2 days ago, delegates to the 2014 National Conference gathered in Abuja, and we reaffirmed commitment to those reports. And delegates were from the 6 zones of the country. And at this stage now, in fact, we are thinking now that perhaps because there are over 600 resolutions, that we should bring out the key issues.
The main
most
important
and
ones.
those are the things. Exactly.
Those are the issues that should be on the front burner at this stage. And they are very clear. 1, fiscal federalism. It's not right what they are doing at the moment. Lagos generates over 70% of VAT in Nigeria. How much does it take? That's fiscal federalism. It's not right. Those who bring the oil on the table, you give them 13%.
Derivation.
And then you now be asking, what have you done with 13%? What are you doing with 87%?
Good question.
So that cannot continue. Police. All over now. When you see most of the police vehicles you see in Lagos, Ogun State, everywhere, and the rest are bought by the state governors. But the governors have no control over the police.
I know that Lagos State, for example, last year gave about 4 billion naira to.
But if Governor Bode called the police to go and do something, that commissioner will have to call his IG in Abuja. The governor of Lagos has something to do this. Should I do it? So it's not right. There is no federation in the world, and that's why we say that what we are doing is we are just maligning federation. We are not a federation. What we are doing at the moment is a unitary system, and the center is too big. It's too big that cannot perform.
So, but how realistic is it for those of you who are saying, look, 2019 is around the corner and the election should be conducted on the basis of a new and truly federal constitution?
Yes, because, you know, in 2015, before the elections, Pastor Tunde Bakari made a suggestion to this country. We have had this conference in 2014. Let's take 1 year to implement this report with an understanding that the incumbent president will not run after we have put the new constitution in place. Oh, say no. It's not delegation. Election is going to solve all our problems. Yesterday, at the launch of General Akira's book, a man I'm proud to call my teacher, Professor Adebayo Williams, who reviewed the book, made the statement that we are making very clearly, that it is clear today that elections cannot resolve our problems. Hold 1,000 elections on the basis of these structures. In fact, every election you hold is a postponement of the evil day. Because once you let new people, they are sworn in on the basis of this constitution, they are bound to defend it. So we have the most important thing for us now in Nigeria today is not 2019 elections, but resolving this structure before we conduct another elections. In fact, the way Nigeria is today, if you go for another election on the basis of this constitution, on the basis of the way Nigeria is today, you are organizing a massive chaos.
Now, one would ask the question, a president who decides to call for a national conference, give them the job duty as regards the recommendation and what should be the outcome and how to implement all of this. And after all your report has been submitted, we were thinking that he should be passionate enough to implement the report.
The president cannot singularly implement those reports.
What does
the policy issues? Yes, he can do, but those are not our main concerns. Our issues are the constitutional matters, which have to go through the process. He said if you won the election, you want to do it. He didn't win the election; it's gone. So it's become history. Forget about him. What we are now is that Nigeria is in crisis. People are dying daily. Many people have been killed in the last 3 years than between 1999 and now. There's no peace, there's no progress, there's no happiness, there is nothing going on. The country is going on underground. We are at the edge of the precipice, and I think that's what we address. And anybody that says that is happy within Nigeria is today, and we should continue this way, is an enemy of Nigeria.
All right, you know what? We'll take a break now. When we come back, we're going to try as much as we can within the time frame that's available to itemize some of the main things or recommendations of the 2014 confab.
You were taking us through some of the recommendations of the conference at that time. Which of the ones standing where we are right now, which of those recommendations do you think are feasible and are reachable and are able to be implemented if the president has the mind to do?
The first and the most important in the immediate now is that this country now is in recession. We are still depending only on one resource, oil. Indeed. Because that's cheap funds. And we are voting money now to go and be searching for oil in the north where there's no oil. We started under Shagari, we have spent billions of dollars. Nothing came out of it. If we implement this report says, look, instead of giving money to go and search for what's out there, give this money to the states. Let's remove mineral resources and mines, everything from the exclusive list. And allow the states, give them money, let every state begin to go and look for these resources and create co-prosperity. Millions of our youth who are roaming the streets, they'll get engaged. They'll be working in plantations, in mines, all over the place. Crimes will go down once we allow this to happen. That's very key. Two, the structure of this country, we have to develop powers. What we are doing is not sustainable. Before I came on here, you were talking about banks. CBN give dollars to banks to go and give the SMEs.
And banks decided what they wanted to do.
CBN has no capacity to monitor what the banks are doing. Banks did what they did with the money. Now you are doing fire brigade. You ban them. You are now going to put pressure on some 6 banks. Because if you devolve, and that's what Nigeria is doing, and that's exactly what's happened to CBN now, is what's happening to Abuja. Abuja has taken on all the roles you cannot perform. Those who should perform the roles, you have not given power to do so. Abuja cannot do it, and the court is a grant. Look at electricity, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Go to Benin Republic, go to Ghana, Togo. These are small countries. Go there at night. You don't hear generators. Nigeria, up Nepal. This, I mean,
even the little kids scream up Napa. Now, speaking about
and today now we say that power is exclusive.
Yes. Now, speaking of some of the recommendations, local government will no longer be a third tier of government.
Oh, yes. In any federation, there are 2 tiers of government. The central government and the federation unit. It's an anathema. It's abnormal. And there's this thing they're talking about, local government autonomy. It's a ruse. It's a tool to further extend the control. So that you now, instead of 30 states now, you now want to have 36 plus 774 local governments reporting to Abuja directly. Whereas states, 2014 says that every time a local government, their creation, their function, their funding should be exclusively state affairs. But go further.
Okay.
To say that those local governments must be at democratic elections, and we spell out how their funds will be managed, that they will not be starved for funds. All those things are spelled out clearly.
But where you have states that are not exactly viable, how will they be able to be in a position to actually provide funding for the local governments that you're talking about?
We looked before we even, we even recommended creating more states.
Yes, 18 or so.
Yes.
New states.
And I can tell you that from the resource map of Nigeria can support more than the number of states we have recommended. But on the basis of this oil economy, just taking oil receipts, we cannot sustain 30 states. So if we do what we say we should do, to begin to go and look, there are trillions of naira. A study has shown that this country, if we allow prospecting those mineral resources, we will generate a minimum of 52 trillion naira annually. The budget now that we can afford now is 8 trillion naira.
Yes.
Because we only depend on oil, which are only using as a means of control. It was not a new thing. In the First Republic, this was how it was. The West was using its cocoa, it was paying tax to the center. The North granite. Now, if you come to the West, what we achieved in that era compared to now, what is on ground now? We have the Cocoa House, Liberty Stadium, first television in Africa, all kind of things, all the kind of first. Today, on our system, what are we producing? Now we are producing universities, graduates who cannot write their names. University of Ife was a global institution.
Yes.
In those days, set up by Western Union. Flag went took it over. I go to that university today, I whip. That's my university.
Same here.
So it is clear that on the present template, hold election 1,000 times. You are not going to resolve the thing. And even the corruption you say we are fighting now. They say now we are fighting corruption, It's a waste of time. We are only fighting the symptoms. The way we are constituted now is the source of corruption. Because to become president of Nigeria today, you have to spend billions of naira on that present system of government. Where are those money come from? Will those who give the money will not get their money back?
All right, let's as it is right now, somehow Nigeria has to move forward.
Yes.
But the point there is, you said there was a meeting in Abuja recently where all of you met and all of that. How are you engaging the government now to see how the government can look into implementing some of these recommendations?
Yes, part of our communication in our Abuja 2 days ago was that we should engage both the legislative arm and the executive arm of government and the state governors. And I was happy yesterday that 2 of the governors were very clear yesterday where they stand on this question. That's the governor for Oyo, governor for Osun, Ogun State. And in fact, when Nnamani came to Ogun State, all our governors in the Southwest, Ogun governor, Oyo governor, Osun governor, Ondo governor, Ekiti governor, all of them declare clearly that we must restructure our portfolio
But
federalism.
the fact
Now,
remains that it's the southern governors and whoever else in the southern part of the country that is in agreement with this whole idea of restructuring. But going up north, that doesn't seem to be the case.
well, there are governors in North who are
Okay.
also speaking up.
Okay.
Right? Even if you are listening to a former vice president, Atiku,
Yeah, Atiku
they are
did
very loud
say
on listening.
that
Now, where we are in Nigeria today is very clear. We are on a single lane road. So many cars are on the road. And then one car breaks down.
Oh.
And the owner of the car decides to be reading newspapers. The option that we left for the rest of us in the queue is that if we want to leave that road, we must get off our cars and push that car to the side of the road. And I think from the preponderance of views all over the country, those who are standing against restructuring risk being the owner of that car, that we just have to push off the way so that I can move on.
Right. And that's what you're about to do. Now, let's look at the power sharing rotation between the north and south across 6 geopolitical zones. Don't you see any challenges in that? We would not be facing another problem on its own. Let's look at what the Rwandans did after the genocide. It's Rwanda and no ethnic groups. Should we even begin to think along those lines?
My good sister, if we restructure today, we allow whole prosperity of Nigeria. We allow every region of Nigeria to control their resources and pay tax to the center. Economic activities are going on booming everywhere and the rest. The Nigerian presidency will become infradig. Just like it was in the First Republic, that the Sadana considered it infradig to be Prime Minister of Nigeria. He chose to be Premier of Northern Region and asked his protege to become Prime Minister of Nigeria. That's what we are saying. Once we develop ours, who want to fight for Abuja? To go and preserve what? What's in Abuja? Minus the buildings you constructed there with the money you are taking from where? What's in Abuja?
But within the so-called 6 geopolitical zones, you still have multiple ethnic colorations. How are you going to deal with those?
Oh, they will solve themselves. You see, what's bringing these things out now is lack. All this containment you are seeing. Once there is economic prosperity going on, those things become secondary.
Yeah, and people are taking advantage of
it because of the prebender policy you are in now. It is whoever hold the power that has all this.
All right, Yinka Odumaki, spokesman, Yoruba Social Cultural Organization, Afenifere, and delegate to the 2014 National Conference. Thank you very much for coming on the program this morning.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.